The cheap. It's because the flights are so cheap at 5 o'clock in the morning.
That's when
98
my best friend, my friend who joined me on Wednesday, she left her house at 2 a.m. and got in at 11. But she slept. She just slept right after that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to sleep on the way down on the plane, except because I took the same flight for when I went down like 3 weeks ago. And we got on the plane. It's still super dark until like halfway through the flight. The sun hasn't come up. And the guy sits next to me, and I do early bird, so I get a good seat.
Mhm.
This guy comes in very last, sits in the middle seat, and turns on the light, like the reading light, and he wasn't even reading. Like he just like it was like a spotlight on me. So I had my hat and decided to pull the hat down, trying to block the light. I'm like, come on now. It's pitch dark in this plane. Everybody else is just like snoozing. And you're just turning on a light like you're like, trying to get a suntan off this thing. I was like, what are you doing? I don't say anything. He's a big dude, but come on, man. You kidding me? Anyway, hey, everybody. It is Wednesday night. We're here with Eric out in Connecticut. We are going to talk about his trip just last week, not 6 months ago, like usually. We're going to have a good time. This is a recent trip. So let me get this and this and that. Too many windows. All right. I got to get podcasting because I got to get editing because I got to get packing because I got to get down to Walt Disney World. Scott went down ahead of time. He was supposed to go down tomorrow, and we're going to ride together from the airport. And he went down last night.
How rude.
I'm saying, but I mean, his flight was canceled today, so he made the right call. It's 60 here right now, and it was 72 here today, which February in Missouri 72 is great.
But then I went from 87 to about 40 degrees. That's the least best part of traveling now.
That is the worst. Like going to Florida in the winter, it stinks. I might actually I'm debating wearing shorts to the airport tonight or in the morning or whatever, 3 a.m. when I go, because I always switch at the airport. And this way, I think the low is gonna be like 52, so I could probably just handle it for a couple minutes on the parking lot, and they won't have to change. We'll see. All right, if you're in the chat, let us know you're here, and we're gonna get cracking for Monday. All right, here we go. Welcome to episode 2245 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you, and congratulations to all the Be Our Guest Podcast listeners on a very successful yet hot Princess Half Marathon weekend this past weekend. Hope you had a great time running the 5, the 10, the half, all the miles down at Walt Disney World. We'll be sure to share all the memories here on the podcast this coming week because, of course, I was down there. Scotty G was down there. And we'll get the perspectives of many lizards right in. Mike at BeOurGuestPodcast.com. Share your thoughts. What did you like? What were you surprised by over Princess Half Marathon weekend? And we'll share those here on the show, especially on Wednesdays. And, of course, you can call us this Sunday night. We'll have a live show, and we can talk about it there, too. But speaking of Sunday Night Live shows, we have a friend who is a regular on the Sunday Night Live shows. You know him. You love him. We're heading out to Connecticut with our friend Eric. Eric, thanks for coming on the show. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I was tired after walking 8 miles a day. I can't imagine running and then doing all that walking. It would kill me.
Well, I mean, it's pretty dumb, actually. And you pay a lot of money for that privilege. That's the really, you talk about like dumb on top of dumb.
Here's $200 hurt me.
We stress out for weeks before the registration. I mean, like we come up with strategies. I mean, I remember a few weeks back when I signed up for the Disneyland Half Marathon, I had 5 machines going so that I could spend as much money as possible to get around all these races out on the West Coast. So it's a sickness, but it's like the Boogie Woogie Blues. You just got to have it or something. I don't know. We'll see. I like the medals. They're fun souvenirs, and the memories are awesome too. So I can't really
do it. You do it for the memories.
You do. I mean, it's what we do all the vacations for, right. I guess.
It's the people who you're there with and who you see, and not always the destination. And Disney's good at that.
Oh, it's 100% true. And those right behind me here in the studio, those ears are my favorite because I had to earn every pair of those because you only get those when you finish the full marathon. So
Mm,
those are some of my
that's
favorite things. I don't want to quit getting them, but I want to quit running 26.2 miles. I'm getting too old for that stuff. But I'm gonna be sad if I don't because I got the full set right now. And it's one of those things, right? I'm not really a collector, but that's one thing that I have the full set. And but God, you can't just go to the store and buy those. It's a shame. I guess I could probably on eBay. Somebody'd sell them, but
you
I
talk about getting
cheap.
too old. I was concerned on this trip that I would be too old for Space Mountain, and it turns out no, it wasn't as bad as I had worried. So maybe you can keep doing that longer, a little bit longer than you expect.
I like your optimism, but I don't share it with you. And
I'm
Space
not the one
Mountain,
who's doing the running.
that's true. In Space Mountain, it's okay to me until I get back into the unload section. Then it's like, medic, yeah, I can't get out of here. Somebody help. I need a crane. Anyway, so Eric, give us a little background on your Disney history because you know you've been calling into the live Sunday night shows, but how did it all
I've
start for you? Where's
been
this Disney
going to
fandom come
Disney
from?
since like 1976
I know. So
with
how did
my
it start?
family. And we would take yearly trips because our grandfather lived down in Florida. He lived outside of Orlando for a little while in Tampa. And then he moved to North Carolina, and we ended up going every other year. And around 2000, I started going back into it with my friends. And that's about when, through college, I met Donna. I call her my BDFF, my best Disney friend forever. And we've been going down with sometimes with her family, sometimes without. This trip was her. She showed up on Wednesday. My twin brother Todd came down. He stayed at a different resort, and I was at Wilderness Lodge. He was at French Quarter, and this was my first time ever staying at a deluxe for other than like lying on the couch of someone who was there for a night who let me stay. And for a long trip, it's really worth the upgrade. We
It is.
spent some good times at on the last day at the Geyser Point Bar and grill there, and we were sitting in these beautiful lounge chairs. I had this delicious bison burger, bison's tough to cook. I'm a very food person, and bison is not an easy meat to cook, and they got it just right. It was excellent, and when it was time to go, we just didn't want to get up, but we had to catch the bus back. I'm getting way ahead of myself. I'm talking about the end of the trip, but we got a room that was right on the end of one of the long hallways facing the lake. It's
Nice.
still considered a nature view room. But it was like you could wake up and the sun was coming up and the fog was on the lake. And I would go down to Roaring, is it Roaring Fork? I think it's
Yep.
Roaring Fork.
Yep.
I
The
would
quick
get
service.
a croissant and fill up my mug, and I would come and I would just eat breakfast out there, watching sunrise on the lake. Every now and then, the boats would be, you see them getting ready for their first trip across
Mhm.
the lake. And there was this woman at Roaring Fork, an older woman named Lucille, and she was always in charge of the beverage bar there. And every morning I would go down there, I'd get my coffee, and she would go almost the exact same words. Enjoy your coffee, young man. Oh, enjoy your coffee. Have a great day. And I'm like, oh, I'm at Disney, Lucille. You're just making this so Disney. Her name is Lucille. If you see her, say hi. She's just the sweetest woman. It was great.
I
Um,
absolutely will because you know I go to Geyser Point almost every trip because that is a hidden gem. The times of the
mhm,
year where it's I mean even when it's blazing hot, you know they have the fans and it is.
right.
I always get the chicken sandwich there because
Okay.
I haven't ever had a bison burger. I need to get that though. I've never tried that.
Wait.
Friends have.
I also had the wings there. A little disappointing. I really do recommend the burger. Lucille was at Roaring Fork though. She was wonderful, and the room just absolutely gorgeous. A little disappointed that they didn't have the water features running. They were under refurbishment. But talking to a cast member, he says they tend to do the refurbishment now because typically it's colder and people
Mhm.
don't appreciate getting sprayed with the water first thing in the morning when it's 48 degrees out. And I'm like, I guess I'm with you on that. Yeah.
Does make
Um,
sense, except for this past weekend, it was record-breaking heat above
I'll get to that. I'll get to that. The
the
the transportation also, I always hear people saying about the transportation at Wilderness Lodge is shaky. It was really spot on this time. The only bus we ever waited for Disney was Disney Springs, and we got to talking to. We just missed a boat out of the Magic Kingdom, And we said, "Oh my gosh, when's the next boat? It's the end of the day." And he says, "Well, it's a 15-minute trip. There's always two boats running. So it's usually 8 minutes and 38 seconds." And I'm like, 8 minutes and 38 seconds? And he goes, "Yep, that's the time it takes to dock, the time it takes to load, the time it takes to get back." So after we pulled out, I started recording the trip because it's just a gorgeous trip
Mhm.
back and forth. And wouldn't you know, from the time we left, the time we docked, it was 8 minutes and 32 seconds. Like, God, you've got this down to a science. They had it down.
I would have thought he was totally making that up, but
I did too, but it
it's
was like
true.
so close. I'm like, he didn't pull that number out of thin air. He was pretty much right. Um, my first day though, I stayed at the DoubleTree in Disney Springs, which was it was a DoubleTree. I mean, it was very nice. It was rather inexpensive for the Disney area. Nice big rooms. The bus driver did a weird thing. When I got on the bus, I went to Magic Kingdom, and the first thing I always do is I ride the monorail on my first day there. I have to ride the monorail on my
I
first day
like
there.
that. You're
And
Disney fan. I get it.
yeah, right. And I hopped the bus to the Magic Kingdom. And the guy gets to the end of the driveway to the DoubleTree. He runs out of the bus, leaves us all there. And we're all like, what is this guy doing? He hits each of the crosswalk signs and then runs back into the bus and says, "This always gets you to go faster." I'm like, okay, all right. Um,
That
I,
okay. Okay.
I guess we're okay with this. But at any time, I'm like, we could have just jumped in the driver's seat and took off.
Yeah,
That was
that's a little
that was
sketch.
not a Disney bus driver, by the way. I don't think a Disney bus driver would ever get out of the bus.
Yeah, I don't think
Um, it was, and then I took the Skyliner for the first time. It was beautiful. I walked around the Riviera, which is smaller than I thought,
so.
but
Mhm.
somehow just the perfect size. It was small and intimate, and very, very nice. It was a nice place. And that was basically my first day there. The second day, I hopped an Uber down to Wilderness Lodge, and that was my mostly alone day. And I decided to do Epcot. And I haven't been to Disney in about 5 years, because 5 years just before the pandemic, we went to Disneyland instead. In fact, I came on the show and talked about it like a few years ago.
Mhm.
So I went back to Epcot to see like all the changes. It's still torn up, but it's got to still be my favorite park. It was my first ride on Guardians, which that's a lot of ride.
It is a lot of
Um,
ride. It's aggressive.
it's a lot of ride. I got the song "Everybody Wants to Rule the World,"
Tears for Fears.
and
Yeah.
it was a very smooth ride because that's a very, very smooth song. And you can really hear the dialogue through the song. The second time I did it the other day, we got conga, and it made the ride feel very different. It was a very different experience depending on the song.
I never thought about it that way. I've only done it once though, and I had September, which I think is the perfect song. If I had to pick one, that's the one I would pick. Kinda like a
Everybody
little
Wants to
Earth,
Rule
Wind&
the
and
World
Fire.
was fun. With conga, we were trying to dance, and we ended up slamming into each other a lot because it's a roller coaster. And my pro tip is, probably if you are over the age of 45, do not try to dance on a roller coaster. It's just not going to work out well for you.
I will second that motion. Yes, please do not dance. There should be a sign, the like stick people, do not plus 45, do
Yes.
not,
Pull
dance.
down the handlebars, hold on to your jet hats and glasses, and no dancing, please.
That's absolutely right.
Um,
Good tip.
I got one of those. They have honorary guardians. One of the jokes that in it is you become an honorary guardian, and I got an honorary guardian badge because I deserve it, because I have helped them twice now. I helped them break out of a prison in California, and I just helped save the universe here. I am an honorary guardian. Okay, you're not taking this from me. It's not a
That's true.
joke
Now
brand.
that now that I think about it, I've done it on both coasts too. I've
There you
I've
go.
helped
You
them.
too.
I've never seen a movie. I don't even know who they are, but I've helped them. Man, I'm
Tex
a
is
good
like,
friend.
so we're lying, and like, no, we're not lying. I am one of you.
Yes.
I deserve this. I deserve this.
And I see the commercials for the attraction all day long on Pluto TV. I always like, Quill, wake up. Rocket Raccoons, they're messing with the cassette tape, messing it all up. It's commercials constantly on for Guardians. Anyway,
That
sorry.
day, I had a few. bits of food at the art festival, which is really the Instagram food festival,
It is
because
like TikTok.
they put a lot of effort into making it look good, but not always taste as good as it could. And I think I might have had the two ugliest dishes, which was basically a bowl of mussels and a pork consommé. Um, they were both okay. My favorite thing there, though, of all the things that I ate, and I ate a lot of booths, was something called a deconstructed key lime pie. That means that you take the ingredients and you arrange them around on a plate, make them look pretty, and you say, "Hey, I deconstructed it." When
Which
really, what it
I
means is
think
you
that is
didn't put it together in the first place.
I think that's hilarious. Right. I don't think it's deconstructed. I think it was
Yeah,
never
I just
constructed. I
never
think
put it together, right?
it's exactly.
But
I think it's just
wh-
simpler. Like, here's a
when you
piece
do
on a
that
plate.
with
Let's put them together.
when you do that with food, what you have to do is you have to make sure that each piece of it is really good on its own.
Yeah, I guess.
And they
Yeah.
really did this. Each piece was really good on this own. You combine them with other pieces and the amount that you want. But that was probably the best of the festival. I won't talk too much about the food because it's over and you can't go have it anymore.
Well, next
Um,
year. I mean,
yeah, they change it up, but a lot of the
they
good
do.
stuff stays. So
I'm
I would
sure the
recommend that.
deconstructed stuff will
And
be there. It's probably cost friendly. You know what, though? I always think whenever you say that, because you're right, there was a ton of deconstructed items this year, and it reminds me back in the day with McDonald's did this in the '80s. It was called the McDLT,
oh
which was
yeah,
like
you keep the
that,
hot
right?
side hot, keep the cold side
Exactly,
cold,
dude,
and then you
and you
slam it
should have
together and
called
everything
they
wilts.
should have called it the deconstructed, Big Mac, like it made it fancy, whatever. No, go ahead.
Uh,
I'm loving this, so tell me more about your trip.
I met with my brother right afterwards. He came in that day, and we went to Morimoto's. It was probably one of the best meals that I've had, not just on Disney property, but period.
I like it too.
The sushi was excellent. It was $200 for both of us, but it was really money well spent. I had a duck ramen, but the best part of it was I had an appetizer portion of ribs, and those ribs, they were not barbecue, and a lot of people down south don't write into to Mike complaining about this. Any ribs that I have had down south, barbecued ribs, this put to shame. It was so good.
So now I haven't been there since the media event when it opened. So that was 2017,
Okay.
16-ish. So it's been a long time. I was near there when they just redid Disney Springs from downtown Disney. And we went around to the restaurants and I went in there and they had ribs. I don't know if it's the same one, but they were so good. I could not stop.
Yes.
They had
Yes.
ribs and had these little like chicken tendies on sticks. And
Mhm.
I mean, I ate my weight in those
Yeah.
things. We could have
Uh,
gone other places, and I'm like, "Nope, nope, I'm just
You
gonna die eating these things because
you
they were just
you are
so
going to
fun."
pay. You will pay there, but it was really good. They're a Michelin, and if you ever watch cooking shows, they all go, "Oh, Michelin stars." It's like considered the best.
Mhm.
And there's something an honorary mention called the Bib Gourmand. You don't get a star, but it says you're still really good. They have that there, and Polite Pig also has a Bib Gourmand. So they're like honorary mentions of some of the best restaurants in the world. And Polite Pig, I also ate at. They were fine. I enjoyed it, but they were a cut above. We also, when Donna showed up, we ate at a place called CityWorks.
Mhm. Been there a few
And
times.
you've been there?
Yeah, a few times. It's a good place to watch a game and just grab
Yeah.
something quick, a nice casual kind of sit down.
Solid place, solid tacos.
Mhm.
And
Had fish, I think, like, just like fish and chips.
yeah, we had the fish tacos. We each got tacos. My brother had the fish taco, Donna had the pork taco, and I had the chicken taco, and they were all very good. If you stay at Disney Springs right now, they give you a little booklet of discounts, and one of them is 15% off CityWorks. So if you want to go there and save a few bucks, I would recommend them too.
Good
They
call.
were very good. And we also, that day with Donna came, we went down and we took the boat to see Yeehaw Bob down at the River Roost on, I always want to say French Quarter, but
Yeah,
it's more
Riverside.
Riverside.
Yep,
Yeah. And he is, we do not know how a man keeps that energy up for, like, he's been doing it for what, 20 years now?
at least. And he does this, like, multiple times a week because he does it Wednesday through Saturday.
Wednesday through Saturday, some other times too,
Mhm.
from 8 till midnight.
Right. And
And
and sometimes he will he entertains at Disney Springs, not as Yeehaw Bob. You
yes,
will see
Bob
him just
Jackson.
in yeah, and people don't know this because if you see him as Yeehaw Bob, he looks like this skinny, noodly looking guy.
Different persona.
Bob is ripped. If you've ever seen
Yes.
him like in a tight t-shirt, like
I,
I've seen
I
him at
don't
Disney
think you
Springs, I
can
was like,
do that with the piano. He is jumping on the piano. He is
right.
leaning back. You can't do that without good core strength.
I saw him at Disney Springs one night singing. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's Bob. And then I was like, but he is ripped because he had like on a tight, nice shirt. But he was not, the the Yeehaw Bob persona. But
The
it was
noodly, the
yeah,
baggy pants,
he's
and like
ripped, man.
if,
Because I mean, he climbs mountains. He's gone all over the world. I follow him on Facebook,
if
and
you're
he's a
if you're watching
great
this, you
showman.
probably know who he is. If you're
Yeah.
listening, you probably know who he is. But if you don't, he is kind of like an old time ragtime
Mhm.
vaudeville piano player that would fit in perfectly well at Hoopty Doo Review.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
And
I am a horseshoe, something like that. Yeah.
he had us all up there doing the hokey pokey. And I videotaped Donna doing that. She's not very proud she's not very happy that like I got her putting like her arm in and her butt in and everything
Mhm.
else and
That's what
shaking
happened.
it. She's like, Eric, don't you ever post this. I'm like, well, one day I think I might.
Just in case.
As far as parks, we were there for some very empty days. Between the weekend and through Friday, they were all through a Thursday. The parks were really empty, and we were able to walk on. We didn't have to do any Genie Plus things, and then it was President's Day weekend, and the crowds
Mhm.
descended like mad. Um, I resented waking up on Friday and Saturday and having to hit the Genie Plus button to buy it those days. Like it's like you wake up, you're ready to hit the parks, you spend all this money, and now Disney is saying, "Hey, how about 99 more dollars, you three?" But we did it, and it actually saved our Hollywood Studios day. I haven't been to Hollywood Studios since they made all the new additions, and we show up that Friday early, ready to go. We're going to hit Rise of the Resistance early, and something must have happened where Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower, Slinky Dog, and Rise of the Resistance were all down,
Oh, on a busy
and
day
it
too. Oh
was
my gosh, what do you do?
slam packed. So my brother wasn't there yet. Donna and I said, you know what? Let's run over. There was still only 5 minutes on Star Tours. We did Star Tours. We walked to Millennium Falcon and did the single rider where they let us ride as a group, which was really nice. They normally don't do that for the single rider lines. And then we're like, what are we going to do? There was a line like going down the street coming out for guest relations, and we're like, well, nothing's happening here. And I began to stack reservations. Like I got Slinky Dog like 10 seconds after it started, and it was already 8 o'clock for Slinky Dog. So I'm glad I got that first. But we went back to the hotel for a little bit. And while we're back at the hotel, I'm kind of, adding Tower, adding Runaway Railway. Um, Before we went back to the hotel to round back, we went to eat at the Brown Derby. My brother wanted to try it, and a little expensive for what you get, but still a solid restaurant. If you're going there, you want something. You don't want anything new off the menu. You want something that was served in the 1930s. Like it's heavy food with a lot of sauces. So I had the duck a la orange, and I can picture this being like a heavy rich person's food from the 1930s. Solid, good meal.
Did
Um,
you? Because I've never eaten there again because it just doesn't seem to have like the atmosphere of like a 50s prime time or a sci-fi for
does
me.
it has a different atmosphere? Like it has
Is it more
you are
southern, I
stay you
guess?
are in one of the wealthy restaurants that the stars go to. It really does feel like that, but it's expensive.
Yeah, that's all
And
I haven't
I
gone.
don't know if I would recommend it for the price, but I've been there like 3 times. Once was so long ago it doesn't count. Once was for I had lunch with an Imagineer there when they still did that.
Is that where
And
they signed the plate back in the day and all that
yeah,
stuff?
yeah, we got a painter. Maybe I'll call in one day and tell you
Yeah,
about
that's
that.
cool.
And the it was good, but it wasn't great.
Yeah,
You
okay,
know,
that's what I've heard. Yeah,
I don't regret going there, but I don't know that I would do it for a regular meal again.
cool. Fair.
Anyway, so we're loading things up, and we get back, and everything's back online except Rise of the Resistance. So we managed to knock out Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which was my first time on that. and it's a really impressive ride. I wouldn't go in expecting an e-ticket, but like as a solid like D ticket, solid people eater, it's a lot of fun, and it's a long ride that doesn't feel long.
That's a
It
good point.
feels like it
Nobody's ever said that. I like thinking about that. It's a long ride that doesn't feel long. I like
like
that.
it's a solid 5.5 minutes, but like you get off of it like it's over. That was quick, and it really isn't. It's like it's not like 11 minutes like Pirates, but it's a lot of fun. It's really impressive, and I have a feeling that each seat you're in is a slightly different experience because you're catching the beginning of scenes, you're catching the endings of scenes, you're closer, a little closer to Goofy, you're a little further back, so you see Mickey as you're leaving the tunnel. So it's really rewritable, and you can see how they do all of the visual tricks, and it's still mind blowing.
Mhm.
Like when they change from the last scene where they do the big change or the big finale, like wow, like I know how they do this. I'm watching it, but for them to be able to think of all of this up and to be able to pull it off with such a precision, it's great. It's amazing.
Let me ask you this about that though. I would imagine that you're a great movie ride fan. I mean, just
Yes, I am. Yeah.
it just seems like with your
Mhm.
personality. So, which one would you rather if they made you like pick between the two? Because they're very different experiences, right?
The current
One was
Mickey and
very
Minnie's
static.
Runaway Railway is better than the Great Movie Ride was towards the end of its run. If
Okay.
they had kept the Great Movie Ride up, if they had changed one scene here and there every now and then, it would have been fine. But by the time I was there 7 years ago or whatever, before it closed down, it was really feeling tired.
Yeah.
There was no current movies, not even in the montage at the end. If they had kept with the promise of that ride, I would have
Yeah.
said keep it, but they didn't. And they have a really good, solid, fun replacement there. Don't go thinking this is going to be like the end all be all most wonderful ride. It's we talking tickets, it's a D ticket.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
right under
next
the cup.
generation dark ride, really. It's a longer dark ride. It's a super
Yeah.
vibrant dark ride. It's got,
And Hollywood
yeah,
Studios needs those. It doesn't have enough rides. It relies on the shows for to be
yes,
the people eaters.
yes.
And we saw the Indiana Jones show, and it was the same show as it was 20 years ago. And the Beauty
Mhm.
and the Beast is the same show, and the sing along is the same show. Um, so
Well,
those,
apparently though, Harrison Ford is gonna be playing the same role as Indiana Jones from the commercial I saw during the Super Bowl.
yeah,
I'm like, "Is that not the same scenes from the very first Indiana Jones?" Like, they're playing
well,
that, like,
they're actually going to be
incredible.
aging up the stuntmen at the Indiana Jones Experience to all be in their 70s. So
Exactly.
it's going to be fun. It's
And you
going to
know
add a
what?
little more daring to watch this 70-year-old run down the ramp every day and try to avoid a water
Everything
ball.
I could try out for it now because if my knees are so bad, I'll be perfect for the role at this point. Like, yeah, it's like everything old is new again. Like, okay, we're just gonna do it again 45 years later. It's like playing Pac-Man. Yeah, no, good point though.
Having Genie Plus really saved the day, and being able to book things for the end of the day really saved it when every single ride was down until 10, 11. Like they were down when we were leaving. Um, Slinky Dog Dash, when we went to go on it at 9 o'clock, all the lights were out around it. So my gut feeling is it must have been a power problem to have half the park down and this
Had to have
back
been.
there down too. But the way the day kind of fell into place is once we got in line, we turned and we looked, and all the lights had come on. And we're like, my gosh, they did it just for us.
Somebody flip
Disney
the
Dream.
switch.
And that's a great ride at night, by the way. It is a gorgeous ride at night. You get some beautiful views of the whole park. Um, I really enjoyed that roller coaster. It's a real fun coaster. And after that, Rise of the Resistance was open, and it said that the line was 80 minutes. Donna really wanted to go see Fantasmic, and I really wanted to go do Rise, and I also
Let's
wanted to see
go.
Fantasmic, but I'm like, I'm not going to get a chance. I've seen Fantasmic. I haven't seen the new scenes. I gotta go do Rise. So I
Yeah, that's
ran to
true.
do Rise. Spoke to two people on the line who I was next to, an older woman who had been on it many times, and a young couple. who were a former Disney college program, and we just talked about the parks and our experiences there and what it was like to be the college program. And the older woman drives once a week in from the villages because she has an annual pass, and she just wanders around and goes on the rides. And we talked about what it's like to be so familiar living there, and how to keep the magic going, which is just like go in there and do whatever you want. Like, don't walk in and try to document everything and compare this time to the last time or anything like that. It's really just when you go to Disney, be in the moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's the dream, really.
Yeah.
That's it.
Um, Rise blew me away with how long it was, how much it was, how complicated it was. And while I was there, I was never out of the experience. Like, I knew this wasn't real, but if you let yourself go with that
Mhm,
ride, it
mhm, totally.
feels like you're there more than any Disney experience I ever had.
Right, mentally, you just gotta put yourself in the
Yeah,
movie.
you
I mean,
got to be
that's the whole
like
yeah,
Disney's about the spending. You know that that's not really Germany, but and Disney says like this isn't Germany. This is a facsimile of Germany. But you can really go there and let your imagination go. And Rise has a lower bar for that. It's really great. The good news is I got out because Disney wait times lie. That's just how it is.
yep,
Disney wait times lie.
100%.
It was about 60 minutes, and I ran across the park with cast members going, "Sir, please don't run,"
See,
or like,
you should
"Sir, please don't run.
you probably got close to
Sir,
falling. Hey, you
please don't
yeah,
run."
I'm just walking quickly. I'm walking
Yes,
with purpose.
and I managed to make Fantasmic just in time to see the whole thing too. And like, it's like the evening, everything fell in place except for one thing. At the end of Fantasmic, they had leftover popcorn. Pro tip: they will give away the leftover
I've
popcorn
I've heard that.
in the back. And Donna grabbed one, and I grabbed one. And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know you have one." So she hands hers to another guy who was there who didn't get any. And then she goes to mine and she picks it up. She goes, "This popcorn's old. Mine was warm." Like, "What?"
Oh,
I got the old stale popcorn and you got, and she goes, "And I gave away the warm one." And she didn't let me forget that.
well, just
Like the entire trip is,
you were just being
"You made
excessively
me give up
generous.
the good popcorn."
You were being super kind.
Yeah. So that day turned out great. She had never been in the line for Guardians either, and we let people pass us to enjoy the. Once you're in a when you're in a boarding party for Guardians, the line moves quickly.
Mhm.
It's a rapidly paced line, and we were like letting people go past us so that we can sit and look at some of the quote unquote museum that was there,
Yeah, the exhibits and stuff, yeah.
and they were really nice. They were really well done. They were funny. They mentioned Disney in one of them. They say, "Like your Epcot Center, our city is," and I'm like, "Oh wow, it's cool that they put everything in." That was our second day there, and we just kind of wandered around lazily. I actually at the art festival, I actually bought a piece of art. It's a Chernobog. I'm holding it up for those of you who are watching, but it's kind of hard to see, by a man named Noah something. But a lot of his art of this type is on the Disney Cruise Lines.
Ah, nice.
So he does Disney Cruise Line drawings, and I don't know if this is one of them. I'm holding it upside down. That's why I can't tell what it is. There we
There
go.
you okay, now it looks but yeah,
Yeah.
so if you wanna check this out, just go to, youtube.com/BeOurGuestPodcast, and
Yeah.
it's right there, so check it out.
And it was $50 for the print. It's a good size print, and this is the first thing I've ever bought there, and I'm just really happy with it. Talking to, I heard two of the vendors talking, and they were saying, "Has it been a good festival for you?" And they all said, "It's amazing if you can get your art in here. That people just come, and it's great. People just come and buy, and they remember you."
Mhm.
And it's been a good experience for the artists who are selling there too.
I would think so.
Um,
It's gotta be a target-rich environment, right? Because
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Disney fans appreciate art of all forms. They
And it's good art.
art.
It's really good. It's all Disney art, and it's really good. Well, not all, but it's really good art too.
Mhm.
We didn't stay for Harmonious because we were just exhausted, and I guess that's one of the Disney shows I'm going to miss. Um, I'm not the most critical person when it comes to presentation. I am so glad that those big barges are going to be out of that.
I'm with you.
Um, they're, they just took up too much space. And my day where I was there alone, there were guys out there working on the arms all day because I guess they were having problems. They must have been having problems with it. Um, it was also my first ride on Remy's Ratatouille, which is a very fun ride. Again, like don't go expecting it's the big E ticket. It's like a solid undercard ride that Disney needs to make more of.
I agree. Very much like you said for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. You know, it's one of those things. It doesn't have to necessarily be something that throws you back into the seat at 80 miles an hour and
Right.
flips you upside down 7 times. It's just a great ride that grandma can go on, kids can go on, and everybody can
And that's
enjoy.
Disney. Disney
Yeah, that's
is
Disney,
that.
right? That's the difference between Disney and Universal. Right.
Yeah, I mean, the woman I was with on Rise, she was from the Villages. She was definitely in her late 60s and still going on Rise of the Resistance, which is not a rough ride at all.
Mm-mm.
But things like Tower and Guardians, you age out of. They have to have those family rides, and Disney does a good job with that balance.
Yeah, and
Um,
I know they're very tempted to go, extreme because everything in the world
yeah,
nowadays is moving to the extreme, right? I mean, it just seems like everything's got to be like the best, the tallest, the fastest, and all that. But it's okay to have something, right? You mentioned it, just a little something for everybody,
yeah,
a nice next level dark attraction that Disney's known for. That's what I
and
like.
they do
You're
that
right.
outside of the parks too. I took a break and did something that I've always wanted to do there, which was the horseback riding at Fort Wilderness. $55 for about an hour and a half. The ride is about 45 minutes.
That's a
And
good deal. I mean, it's
it,
it's probably more
it's
than
a
that
good
here in
deal,
Missouri.
and it was fun. The horses, there's not a lot to look at on the trail there. You are basically walking through the brush of Florida, but it's 45 minutes. So if you talk to the people who are the people who care for the horses who run the trail ride, they'll tell you a little bit of the history there. The trail that they ride now is about 15 years old, and they used to have just the Tricircle D Ranch down near the shore. And they used to walk the horses up to where they do the trails every day. But that began to become, they said it was just too much work. It took too much time. And the horses are living creatures. They sometimes don't want to do what you want them to do. So they built the extra stable up there, and you meet at them at the entrance. I used to do horseback riding. Well, I didn't used to do horseback riding. It was a course in college that I took because I didn't want to do real gym. And
I did bowling twice, so I get it.
yeah, I did that in volleyball. So I took horseback riding, and getting back on it, I remember just about everything except the motions to make the horse move. So I was riding a real prima donna of a horse, and while we were walking, it like walked around mud puddles and didn't walk in ruts. It was like I will walk on the soft path. You
That's
cannot stop
funny.
me.
That's a Disney horse right there,
Yeah.
yes.
One of the things, though, that was funny is that the horses really like the ferns and the tropical plants that are along the path. So they will try whenever they can to go and eat some. And along the way, like two horses just with the riders just kind of turned off and started munching, started walking and munching. So the person who was running the trail in the back on the big boss horse would have the big boss horse walk over to them, and the horse would go over them, like gently nudge the other
Yeah.
horse, like, "Hey, what are you doing here? Get back in line, you! I'm the boss here." But they say, like, and the horses are really responsive because they're trail horses. If the horse begins to look at a fern or something, simply pull your reins gently to one side, and it will stop. And they all do.
Oh,
If you're not watching your horse, though, it will do what any animal does, whatever it wants to do.
yeah.
So, but they really keep you on the path. It was fun. It was a nice fun break to do, and I'm going since I've been there so many times. I want to start seeking out more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
There's plenty of it there.
yeah, I've done many of the tours, which I
Mhm.
really enjoy because it lets you see Disney in a different way. I've done all, the races, but I've never ridden the horses. That's one of the things I need to do. I've only done horse riding. I'm from Missouri,
It's
but I've only ridden a horse a few times, and
it's
that's
perfect for beginners. In fact, it's designed for beginners. Um, a good 20 minutes of it was them sizing you up and thinking about which horse to give you. Like, I got on my horse and she says, "You've done this before." I'm like, "Yeah, 25 years ago." And she's like, "No,
Definitely
but you
wrong,
got
right?
on and you got the posture." And, and so she says,
Your horse's name is Secretariat. Get on.
my horse's name was Percy, actually, after Percy Jackson and the Olympians.
That works.
Um, it was a nice horse, again, a prima donna. Midway through the ride, he was going so slow that she said, "You know, you're doing everything right. It's not you, but Percy's being slow right now. So we're going to put you at the end of the trail." So I was walking in the back of the line, and that's motivated Percy to keep up because he didn't want to lose his herd. Um,
That's
it
interesting.
was fun. It was fun. I would recommend it if you're curious. And again, if you don't like it, the actual riding part is only 45 minutes, and you'll be off soon.
I try that because
It
we've
was
done the
really fun.
wagon rides a couple times at Fort Wilderness, and those are fun. But I want to ride the horse now. I got my cowboy hat. I'll have to
There
pack
you
that.
go. Don't wear the cowboy hat. Just
Oh man, it sits in the closet. I need it. It's back from my
you're,
line
you're
dance.
setting yourself up. Oh, he's got a cowboy hat. We'll give him
Hey,
Brutus.
it's a Stetson, man. I paid good money for that at the line dancing joint back in the 90s. I need some action. Needs a little dirt on it.
Among
Anyway,
the other things, it was also my first time on Flight of Passage. And Todd and I got there early. That's my brother. We got there early in the morning for it, and the line was probably about 40 minutes, but it was actually 40 minutes walking to the entrance.
I hear you.
Because what they do is they direct you all the way back towards when you're there in the morning, all the way back towards Africa,
Yeah, back
and you
called
walk,
line.
and it's a long winding walk up a hill and a long winding walk through the fields. And like, and I think we're midway through. I go, "Todd, we've been on this ride for about we've been here for about 20 minutes, and we're still walking. We haven't stopped walking to
See,
the entrance."
you've done Run Disney. You just didn't know it. It was unofficial. I'm telling you, you're
I
there.
want one of those hats behind you now.
Exactly. You
I need one
deserve
of the
a
hats.
pair of ears. That's right.
It was a really good ride. It was a really fun ride. I enjoyed it a great deal, and I got to ride my personal low key favorite ride in the park, which is Dinosaur. I might be the only person who really enjoys that ride. I just really enjoy that ride. It's just I can't explain it. It's just fun. Also, it was cool out, so the animals were out on safari. My brother, who was very unimpressed with Animal Kingdom the last time we went in the summer, really liked it on a day where it was like 77 degrees and
It makes a
just
huge difference. That park is
nice.
so hot in the
The,
summer.
the, the
Oh,
other days, it got to be 87 degrees out. One day, they were like, "This is record heat right now for Florida." And we were glad that we brought our shorts and things like that. But it got brutal. One of those days was our Magic Kingdom day. And Magic Kingdom was, yeah, I don't know what else to say. Magic Kingdom was Magic Kingdom. It's just a great park. Um, our spot for the fireworks was right in front of the stage, in front of the castle, and those projections there are so crisp. I don't know why I wasn't expecting that. And when the fireworks go off, you lose a few of the fireworks behind the castle, standing
so
that
close.
close,
Yeah.
but it takes up your entire vision when they go off around it. It's a completely different experience from standing in the hub or standing in the middle of Main Street. That said, I probably wouldn't stand that close again, but I'm glad that we did. I'm really glad that we did. And also, what was nice, Donna had some friends who were happened to be in the park at the same time, and we met with them for some Dole Whips later. It was the park was open till 11. We met them at 9 for Dole Whips, and while we were talking about Guardians, and we were sitting by Aladdin, and we were also talking about Tron, and Aladdin. I guess the person who was running it was bored at that point because even though it was a busy night, it's still 11 o'clock, and the people who are in a Disney park at 11 o'clock are not riding the magic carpets of Aladdin.
That's true.
So
Very few.
the woman who was there comes and talks to us, and she had just gotten off Tron. She'd been doing the cast member previews for Tron, and she spent the time telling us all about it, how much she liked it, how it was like not a long roller coaster, not an intense roller coaster, but a fun experience, and the walk up to it. So I'm really looking forward to going back and a few years or a year or whatever, and riding that, it's nice because there's always something new. I want to see the middle of Epcot, my favorite park. I want to see what they make that into.
Same. I know
It'd be
that
great.
that's a good point because there is so much coming, and I haven't got to do a preview of Tron, so I'll be excited to get to see that this summer and, or even possibly when I'm down for the race in April.
Hmm.
I don't know, because I mean, Tron is like right up my alley. It's a '80s retro,
Yeah,
that's my generation, right?
people of
'80s
a
kind of thing.
certain type of person of a certain age
It's
knows Tron very well, and
right.
we want to be in the grid.
I know, totally. So I told Pam, I was like, "Holy cow, this one's right. This hits me. Like Guardians isn't me. I'm not a Marvel fan. I know a lot of people are. Tron, that's me, man. That's the old 40, 40 something year old dude, that was a nerdy kid. That's made for me. I know it's
Disney for the 100th, they're pulling out the retro park merchandise, and we're walking through, my brother and Don and I, and we look and we go, oh, they are doing this just to hit those buttons. And we're like, you know what? They have. And we
yeah.
start buying the merchandise that,
Right, they
that we
finally
remember
figured
from
out
being kids.
the kids of the '80s now have a little bit of disposable
Um,
income. And so yeah, let's try to grab
I'm not
that.
sure how we are on time, but there's two more things that I want to share because I
Yeah, we
looked
got
at this.
about 7 minutes. So yeah, go
Great.
for it.
My brother was on Main Street, and we went into the glass shop on Main Street, and he was enjoying. He liked all that. He eventually bought a glass octopus for his table at home that we saw the man who was there make, which is
Mhm.
a very special thing. Like we were able to
Very
buy
cool.
that octopus. But he wanted to see the things that were in the windows on Center Street, which Center Street is the street off Main Street,
Mhm.
midway up. And Todd was walking around and he says, I don't see any of them in the shop. So he says to someone, says, well, I saw this bull and this cat in the windows outside, but I don't see it in the shop. He goes, oh yeah, they're just outside. He goes, oh, I was wondering how much they are. So she and he went around outside and she opened the Main Street windows
Wow.
to get those things out so Todd could check them out and check the price. And that I had to post to Facebook with the caption, not my brother making them open the windows on Main Street so he can check out the displays.
I have a personal idea that if I have to open a window on Main Street, this cat can't afford it.
Yep. And you know what? My brother makes some good money.
I'm just
He
saying.
couldn't afford it,
Yeah,
but just to be there while
right,
they
that
were
they would do
opening
that.
the
That's cool.
window
Yeah,
on
right.
Main Street, and people are walking by and looking like, what's going on? Are they putting something new? It's like, no, my brother just has enough money that he wants to be able to check out the
That
merchandise.
is that's a pretty I mean, I hate to say, use this term, that's a pretty baller move right there.
Yeah, right. And I'm sure if they were inside, they would have never done it.
No,
But
it's so funny though.
yeah, he just says, could you open the window? And she's like,
Right.
sure. And she
Oh,
walks
that's
outside and
hilarious.
opens the window and checks
Great
out the
story.
prices.
And you took a picture. That's great. That's awesome.
I took more than one picture.
Love that.
I just wish I had thought of that before. I gotta do that myself now.
Yeah,
Gotta
totally.
harass them like, excuse me, there's
Never.
this bowl out there I'm interested in.
Nah.
just just to get them to do it. No,
Yeah.
don't do that. That's mean. But he was serious about wanting to buy one of them until he realized the bull that he wanted was $650. And he's like, no, no, I'm gonna go for the $80 octopus
Yeah,
that we just saw go on.
same, 'cause I bought an ornament with the skylighter opened and it came home in 1,000 pieces because it was made out of glass, and I
Yep,
thought I'd pack it well,
yep.
so, yeah, it wouldn't have 8 legs, it'd have 80 by the time it got home, so what are you gonna do?
And
Okay,
then
what's
one
the last
last
story? Because I wanna make sure we get this in before we gotta wrap up.
while we were walking off the buses from our very disappointing morning at Hollywood Studios, standing there in the middle of the crosswalk between not the crosswalk and like the cross path. Like if you come up, you go to a path and you can go either to the Boulder Ridge Cabins or you can go to Animal Kingdom. Were Goofy and Pluto and Donald just standing there with nobody around them, and it was just the two of us, and we got a good 10 minutes with just Mickey, Donald, Goofy, Donald, and Pluto hanging out there, taking pictures. And I stopped. I turned to the woman like, do they have somewhere to be? She goes, no, they're just walking around today. So they were just gonna kind of like walk around the resort, and like I just can't get over the fact that we had 10 minutes with three of the big four there.
They've been doing more of that, which I really, really appreciate. You know, they have these character motorhomes that
Hmm.
they go around in, and they'll just kind of show up. They'll hang out either in the lobby, sometimes hang out in a gift shop, sometimes hang out like on a balcony, some kind of a public area in the hotel, and just hang out. And I think that is especially with the marketing that Disney does, especially for
Yeah.
folks that, don't know how things really work. Because if there's this commercial that's constantly on TV right now, and you probably see it too. I'm sure our listeners all see it, where this kid's walking into the Grand Floridian, and he walks in and the stormtroopers are walking through the lobby, and then he goes in the pool and like Little Mermaid swimming in the pool, and the hitchhiking ghosts are on the boat with them heading over to the magic. That stuff doesn't happen. In your imagination it does. But if it just having a goofy in the lobby at your hotel, that kind of that
and,
makes
and,
the
and
connection.
just
That's
hanging
cool.
out, not
Yeah,
like
that's
with the person. Well, eventually a line
not
has
a
to form.
lie.
I
Yeah,
understand that, but like they were just standing there waiting for someone to walk past so that they could do their thing.
that's cool.
And
That's
and
cool.
that was like, they talk about those magical moments. That might have been our favorite Disney type memory of the entire trip.
Unexpected magic, because that's
Yeah.
the stuff that you'll remember, the stuff that
Yeah.
you weren't
Yeah.
planning for, and that's
I'm,
best.
I'll tell you, I'm not going to remember my 37th time on Big Thunder Mountain. I will remember the fact that those big three were hanging out right there doing nothing, and we walked off the bus and just there they were.
Hey, I'm totally with you. It's the stuff that you weren't planning for that ends up being the best stuff. So that's why I say, best laid plans. It's a great
Mhm.
idea to go in with all these great plans, but don't be so married to your plan that you can't give an opportunity for unexpected things to
If
happen.
if we
'Cause that's
weren't if
tough.
we weren't flexible, we would have had a bad day at Hollywood Studios, and it turned out to be one of the best days because we rolled with it. If we weren't flexible, we wouldn't have been up in. We went to the DVC lounge this time when we wouldn't have fit that in. If we weren't flexible and wanted to get that one last Disney day in, we wouldn't have had that wonderful last hour that we spent at Geyser Point. It was the flexibility that really made this trip one of the best ones that we've had.
Great advice to close the show on. That is exactly, especially for first timers, because you always think I got to have a plan for every minute that I'm there. You don't.
Never forget that you're on vacation, and it might be that once in a lifetime trip. Make the list of the things that you want to do, but don't make the list of the things that you want to do be everything. My
Yeah.
brother wanted to do the Enchanted Tiki Room. He did it 7 times, and he was not upset that he missed the People Mover or the Carousel of Progress, because he was like, "I'm doing the Tiki Room, and that's what I'm doing."
Yep. We all define success in a different way. That's what he wanted to
This
do.
is a lot of
Hey,
tiki.
perfect. Eric, hey, thanks for coming on. It's great to talk to
Sure.
you for a little bit longer than our Sunday night shows. And you really do make the Sunday night shows a lot of fun. I know you've been busy lately, but just
Yeah,
keep it the
schedules
best.
change a little bit, but I should
I get
call in
you.
and tell you about the lunch with an Imagineer that I did,
Cool. That'd be
uh,
awesome.
and a few other stories from here and there. I'll be
Anytime.
around a little more
Cool. Phone
lately.
lines are always open for you, buddy. Well, hey, I appreciate the time and you have a great week. And thanks again for
You
coming on
too.
the show. All
Take care.
right. Don't forget, our show is always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. Check them out today. Ready to help you plan your next Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney trip. The agents are standing by right now over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click really helps us out. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And a sincere thank you to the patrons of the Be Our Guest podcast. You make all these shows possible, and our patrons get that bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest. If you'd like to join us, we'd sure love to have you. Coming over patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast. Give me a follow on social media at Be Our Guest Mike. I'm on Instagram and Twitter. Would love to talk to you this week. And I have all my pictures up there and videos from Walt Disney World this past weekend. So check those out. I was over at Coronado Springs and running all the races. Lots of fun content there for you. Also, this Sunday night, another live call-in show with Scotty G. So join us. We're on Facebook and YouTube at 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern. Join us. Join the chat. We have a good time. It's our get together every Sunday night. And then give us a call during the show and be a part of the show and talk Disney, whatever you want to talk about. Fair game. So Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. We'll look for you on Facebook and YouTube. All right, until we get back together again on Wednesday for more of your listener questions. For Eric out in Connecticut, I'm Mike here in Missouri. You guys stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Boom. Thanks. That's
All right.
perfect. Good stuff.
Okay, I tried to keep talking the best I could.
You nailed it. All right. Let me edit this bad boy and get it up. And
All right, and I'm going to look for a new set of ears behind you when you come back.
well, no, I don't get them for this. You only get them on in January. You only get them for the full marathon. So you only get them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Right.
this one gets medals, but I'll have more medals. So we'll see.
Stay safe. I hope your headache feels better.
It should. I hope so. I appreciate it, Eric. I appreciate you very much. Thank you, buddy. Thanks for the
Take
friendship.
care.
All right.
Talk
Take
to
care,
you
buddy.
again.
Stay safe. Bye bye.
Bye.